Hi guys, what's up? It's Ansley and welcome back for another video. Today, oh man, there's been some things going on. So if you've been on this channel for several years, you probably know that I used to make a lot of paranormal content, going and investigating stuff, talking about equipment and different types of spirits and hauntings and stuff like that. But I also had a series on here that was all about my paranormal experiences that I like to tell stories about. And let me just say, some stuff's been going on lately that has made me want to bring this series back. Now, the paranormal is still very much a part of my life. It's still a huge interest of mine. It's still a huge passion. I still talk to spirits all of the time, and it never went away. I just stopped making investigation videos and content about it in that way, but it's still very much a part of my life. And I've had some recent experiences that are pretty cool. So I want to share with you a paranormal experience I had pretty recently. It was about 2 weeks ago, and it was one of those experiences that just sat with me, and it still does. It's something that was so profound, and it reminded me a lot of a previous story that I told you guys before about my sleep paralysis. So grab a cup of tea, grab some popcorn, some peanut butter. Let's get started. I would light a candle, but I don't have one. But mentally, just know it's lit. So this story starts as a not my paranormal encounter story. When people around me experience encounters, it often does come to me, especially in times where my spiritual walls may be lowered or I may be going through something that has me a little funky. So setting the scene there to say this was not a spirit that I found, but somebody brought to me as a gift. Story starts of I was visiting some family, and this family had just gone on a trip. And that night is when this happened. That night I went to bed, everything was normal. I had a weird vibe in my house, it just felt off. And I don't know how to describe it other than it felt like there was somebody there watching me. And I've been doing this enough and encountered enough energies and spirits to know when there's a spirit around. So I tried to make contact, tried to see what was going on, but it didn't seem to want to engage. And so that night I went to bed, and while I was asleep, I had a dream. And you tell me what you think this means, if you think it was a dream or something more. I have this dream that I was visiting this family member again in the dream, and then they went away, so it was very much like in real life, how I saw them, and then we went our separate ways. And then I had this dream where I was laying in bed and I was asleep, and I felt this intense presence around me, and I couldn't describe the feeling, but I couldn't move. And so it was very much feeling very sleep paralysis, where you just can't move, but you're just kind of having to watch the scene play out. I was frozen in this way, laying on my back, trying to figure out why I couldn't move and what this presence was. And then on the other side of the bed, I felt somebody else there. And it felt like somebody was leaning into me, and I could hear their breath and I could feel their presence, and I couldn't see them. So when that happens, you know, you kind of feel very paranoid and you're like, what's going on? And it was somebody whispering in my ear. And in my dream, I saw it was my mom sitting there whispering in my ear in a very dark way, but I knew that this voice wasn't hers, and I knew this presence wasn't hers either, and she had no reason to be there anyway. And so in my dream, I was very much aware that this was an entity trying to communicate with me, and this spirit was telling me to look this direction, but I was stuck. And I could see something out of the corner of my eye, and it looked like a shadow figure standing there near the bed watching me. And it felt like a very heavy presence in this dream of something trying to get in other words. And this other entity that was over here, that was definitely not my mom, but was wearing her face, was whispering in my ear, grabbing my chin, trying to get me to look over to it, and I was just so stiff, I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything. But it was like forcing my neck, and in the dream I could hear my neck not snapping but cracking, because it was pushing it so hard, but it was so stiff. So it's turning my head towards this entity that's over here that I'm very much aware is there. And when it's turning my head, I finally see the entity, and it's this woman. It appears to be this woman in complete black all the way down. It looks like a very old Victorian style outfit, very long dress or skirt that goes all the way to the feet, and the head is angled down. And it very much had the typical horror movie type look to it, where it was just head down, hair in front, watching you through, I can't even do it. It's watching you through its hair, but all black hair, all black outfit. And I could see some of the skin coming through the hair, and it was pale white. And so I see this entity, but I can only see partially because it didn't turn my head all the way. And so I'm like, okay, there's this presence here, there's a presence here, what is going on? And then the entity starts pushing my head up to look up. It's telling me to just give in and look up. And the way it's saying it is like, give in, look up. Like very whispery, you know. And so it turns my head up, and right then it cracked my neck. Not like snapped my neck, but like it cracked very loudly. And I look up and there's an entity above me, and it's that same entity that I just saw standing near my bed. And I know it's the same because it has the black hair and the very pale face and very pale hands and fingers. And right when I see it, I snap out of it and I wake up. Room's completely black, it's still dark out, but there is a presence in the room. I feel it heavily that there is somebody in this room. Right when I wake up, I'm staring at the ceiling just as I was in this dream. And so then I go to turn my head and I see a shadow figure out of the corner of my eye in that same spot where in my dream it was standing there watching me. And so I turn and I don't see it front on, but I had just seen it out of the corner of my eye very visibly, like ink on a canvas, like it did not blend in with the darkness around me. And so at that point I'm laying there and I'm trying to figure out what just happened, because that experience has happened to me before in a very similar way. If you guys remember when I told this story on my old blog about after going on an investigation, there was these two entities. They had a very similar look to that entity, but they were wearing like hospital gowns and their heads were bent over, very much like the entity that I had just experienced in that dream, and their faces were hidden behind dark hair as well. And in that same experience, which that must have happened maybe 8 years ago, that was when I experienced sleep paralysis for the first time, and it was horrible because I had no idea what was going on. And in that dream, I literally couldn't move, didn't feel like I could breathe, but those entities took on the face of my mom. In that old experience, those entities were reaching for me, grabbing my face again, and they were using my mom's face to try to manipulate me. So this instantly made me think of that experience, and I haven't had one of those experiences since that one I had a long time ago. And so I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, how did I get a spirit? Like, where did this come from? I know you can pick up spirits, you know, from other people on your daily life, passing by people. Like, I know there's so many different ways you can pick up a spirit, but I was like, how would this one get in so easily, so quickly? At the time, some things were going on. My walls were definitely lowered for my spiritual stuff, but also that family member I saw, it made me think, I wonder if they encountered a spirit. Because although my family isn't as much into the paranormal and spiritual stuff as I am, I have taught them many things, and they still often have experiences because my family is pretty open to those kind of energies. I immediately was like, somebody must have picked this up on their trip and it came over to me for whatever reason, often kind of like I think of it in the way of like a moth to a light kind of thing. Because I am so open about connecting with energies and communicating with spirits, sometimes they can just kind of squeeze their way in. I woke up and I was like, no, not on. No way this is going on, because I hadn't had a negative entity in my own home in years. I can't even remember the last time I had a presence where it just felt like a negative entity. So I was like, no way. We went all out. We got all the protection items. We got all the crystals, all the sprays. I like showed up prepared. I was like the Winchesters. I had my stuff ready to salt circle everything. It took hours to do this cleansing because I really wanted to be sure, because I was not about to start dealing with a negative attachment. Did 2 cleansings actually, because I remember how hard it was to get rid of the Hat Man. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but that experience took so long and many cleansings to get rid of the Hat Man. So I was taking no chances here, did multiple cleansings, set up extra protection in my house, and since then nothing has happened. So then I contact this family member and I was like, hey, hope things are good. Hope the wife and kids are good. Just wondering, did you happen to have anything strange happen on your trip? Oh, what do you mean strange? Nothing strange. It was a great trip. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Strange like a demon in your room grabbing your head, making you look at another demon, and you're frozen in bed? Anything like that ring a bell? Oh, actually, there was an experience. Of course there was. So I'm like, important details were left out. What do you mean something happened? You don't tell people these, what are you talking about? And so then they explained that while they were trying to sleep, there was this weird presence in their room. They couldn't figure it out. Felt like somebody was watching them, kept waking them up. Just this very strange presence. And later learned that somebody had just passed away at this place that they visited. So I'm not sure if that's connected to it or not. Either way, they had an experience. They kindly brought that experience with them along this journey back to their house and where I visited them, and brought it to me like luggage, like a gift from traveling abroad. They bring spirits to me unknowingly. And that's lovely. It's never money. It's always, here's a demon. Alas. Thankfully, it has been dealt with and nothing has happened since, but very strange experience nonetheless. I believe that there was an entity in my room that night, and I believe it was trying to get in for whatever reason, and I'm not sure what that reason was. I've done enough with spirits to know that they will feed on your fear and often try to not only use things to mimic things in our life, such as familiar faces or like a child's voice or anything, to get us to let them in, but they can also feed on your fear by trying to make you scared. And obviously when you're frozen still, can't move, there's a strange shadow with a dark voice whispering in your ear, wearing the face of somebody you care about, and then also there's something over here watching you. Obviously it's trying to feed on your fear quite a bit, to make me more scared so that I lower my walls, and then it could attach, it could do whatever it was gonna do. I would love to know what you guys think about that. What do you think? Do you think it was all just a dream? Do you think it was a negative entity trying to get in? Do you think it was maybe something misunderstood? I'm curious to know what you think. Make sure to do an extra protection on your energy and also your home, if nothing else. I'm reminding you of that now because it can happen so quickly and so easily, especially if you're the one in the family that is most tuned into those kind of things. Those entities are going to flock to you, so make sure you're protecting your energy always. Also, if you've had any paranormal experiences recently, please share them. I'd love to hear about what's been going on for you. But that is my story for now. I have some other ones that if you guys are curious, perhaps we will bring this series back with some other stories. But I wanted to get this one out there to you guys because this is that was a weird one. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye!